Hello, my name is Ronan Collins and I would like to tell you a little bit about our project restoring St. Anthony, a traditional half-deck fishing boat about 28 feet in length that was originally built in Sharpen Island in about 1926. So as part of Cork County Council's Heritage grant scheme, we have received funding to run 3 workshop days. This is part of the larger restoration project, but we are very happy to be able to do it to introduce people to the traditional boat building skills that were used 100 years ago building these vessels. You might ask, why the St. Anthony? As I said, she was built 100 years ago by Simeon McCarthy and James Reagan in the Watch House at the west end of the island. She was constructed for Fleur Nolan, who was a shop owner, and he wished to use her for bringing stores in and out to the island. She's an interesting vessel because she is at the cusp of engine power. So she had a small Kelvin engine, a 6.7 engine, but her primary propulsion, I suppose, was by sail. She had a lug sail and foresail. She's had a long association with Sherkin and the area. She worked for many years as a sand boat, taking sand from Sherkin up the river to sell in Skibbereen for fertiliser. This was a traditional industry that was very well documented by Cormac Levis. She came into my family in around 1976 when my father bought her, and he used her for coastal fishing. So she fished all the traditional fisheries, herrings, lobsters, and then moved into shrimp and salmon. In about 1988, she went mussel farming. Her last working season as a salmon boat was in 1997, when Barry O'Driscoll from Sherkin leased her from my father to fish that season. So that actually was her retirement. My father moved into bigger boats for the mussel farming, then with more hydraulics. So the St. Anthony has lain idle since then. We started a restoration on her in 2006 through a wooden boat building course on the island, but it was too big a project and we didn't finish it, and we're only getting back to it now. The St. Anthony, if restored, will be the last existing Sherkin Island built boat, the last existing sand boat, and also a very good example of that period when vessels in the area transitioned from sail to engine. The history of boat building on both Sherkin Island and Hare Island is very interesting. It has been well documented on Hare Island in Eugene Daly's book and by Cormac Levis. Less well so in Sherkin, but Dolly O'Reilly has put together some notes on shipbuilding in Sherkin in the 19th century. In the dock, they actually built quite large ships. Some of them were involved in coastal trading. More of them were European-wide. And the Margaret Hughes in 1847 took people from Sherkin to St. John's in Newfoundland. These people were escaping the famine, and she returned with a cargo of timber. I'm going to attach a document, the document that Dolly has written, covering that period of shipbuilding in Sherkin, which I think isn't well known and people will find interesting. I would like to thank Cork County Council for the opportunity to bring this history and to showcase these traditional skills to the wider community, that we can have these conversations and preserve the knowledge, I suppose, and the maritime heritage